Well, I'm Chris, and this is my blue 72 Beetle review video, but I'm showing you I have a 74 gold one. We're still working on it, but it's springtime here in Houston, Texas, and I gotta finish the drywall. I've already done it on the rest of the walls, but we have this wall and that wall left. We're holding up on this car for a couple of weeks, but let's talk about my 72 and why am I messing with these cars all of a sudden? So I got this car running and driving. Can you hear that noise? So I bought this car because it popped up on OfferUp, and I said, if this thing looks like the pictures, I'm buying it. I don't care. And that's what happened. It was a father-son project gone wrong. They thought the car was cursed because it would do nothing. The problem was they had the battery in it backwards. So it was a completely unexpected purchase. I actually started wanting a Beetle because of the RC cars that I work on. Tamiya has a bunch of vintage Beetle models, and for some reason that got me wanting a Beetle, so that's why I bought it. But the truth is I've been buying a bunch of stuff because we all see the way the prices are going up, and I don't want to run out of projects and one day want a Beetle and now I have to pay $10,000 in 5 or 10 years for something that I can get for $25,000 or $3,000 right now. And once I got that car running and drove a 1,700 pound car with the 4-speed manual transmission, I was instantly hooked. I never got COVID-19, but I did get Beetle fever. So in other words, we're not going to stop the channel and start working on Beetles. We're going to work on them later, and I'm going to keep that car for the rest of my life, and we are going to restore it. But that clunking noise in the back, I bought all the bushings and stuff for it, but I do not feel like taking that car apart right now because it clunks. Horrible clunk. You get in that car, as soon as you hear it, you turn back around and go home. But in the future, we have to tear the whole butt end of that car apart because I have no idea where that clunking is coming from. Nobody knows. I thought it was the body bushings, and it's not. So the car runs really, really good. I drove it down here to the church to do a video. I have not washed this car or anything since I got it because I wanted everybody to see it just like I bought it. Now, I did fix a lot of stuff on it. So finally, here's my 1972 Volkswagen Beetle. And what we're kind of focusing in this video is, should you buy one of these cars? It's 2024. I bought it last year in August. At first, we need to address the level of this car. I paid $3,100 for it. This is considered a solid, good project car. When I got this car, the only thing that worked were the windshield wipers and one high beam headlight. Car had no brakes, didn't run, battery was in it backwards. But even though the car didn't run, when you see stuff like this, that means that somebody was maintaining it. That's not the original distributor. That's not original. That's not original. And you look for things like that electronic ignition. The fact that it has that on there, somebody cared about this car. But you still take a big risk with it not running. So the car has aftermarket wheels on it. They are a matching set, and they put disc brakes on the car all the way around. They didn't do it right. They didn't work. I had to fix them. Car needs new tires. Car is not rusted out, but we got to get to this pretty quick on it. As bad as this looks, it probably does not have any rust holes in it yet. So when you're looking at Beetles, you got to get under here and look at all this stuff. This is all thin gauge sheet metal, and it's real easy for it to rust out. These cars rust out like crazy down there. You got to look all down in there on these cars. This one is very, very solid. They have the death foam, they call it, where they fill this with foam and any water or moisture gets caught in there. It does have that little dot. That doesn't bother me, but I'm gonna try to stick some kind of knife in there and get that foam out. So I wanted a 70 through 72 because I wanted a 1600 cc. The older the Beetles get, the better they look inside and outside, but the engines have less power and are a little bit smaller. So from the sides, you really can't tell, but the best Volkswagen Beetle is probably a 67 because it's the last year for the small old-timey bumpers. If you notice, these are kind of squared off and fat. I think it was 74. They went to the bigger bumpers and they had like this hydraulic shock looking thing in there for more safety in case it gets hit. This car does have aftermarket exhaust. I kind of wish they would have kept the original on there. So I did add that passenger door mirror. I have a video on it. This is the trunk of the car. Oh man. Oh yeah, it's because I fixed the freaking hood latch on it. Open the hood latch, you come in here. Let's see if it still works. Good. Trunk opens like this. Spare tire is supposed to be down there. So they didn't put that black piece on there right, so I got to completely reinstall it. I did add a aftermarket washer pump. That thing works really good. So always look down there, all this stuff will rust out. That doesn't bother me. Probably the worst thing about a Beetle is when they get hit, they take damage a lot worse than other cars. So just a little hit right here can actually bend everything and warp it and screw it all up. So on a Beetle, you're always looking for that hood line. This line right here is the most noticeable line on the car. As you can see, we can lower that hood down a little bit. It's very important when you're buying one, you always make sure that line looks right. And if for some reason it looks better on one side, it's because that stuff is not on there perfectly straight. I'm working on that 74, and that's why I had to stop working on it, because I need to really take a look at this one. And you know what? This one is not on there perfect either. As you can see, we got a little fender showing right there. None right there. Little things like that. So you got to take your time whenever you're welding or fabricating one of these cars up. So the truth is, I don't really recommend a Beetle unless you've driven one before. So these cars have a torsion bar suspension, and it's not for everybody. You're either gonna love this car or you're gonna hate it. As you can see on the inside, it has that old-timey feel, so you will get your old car fixed, your classic car vintage fix. You know, but to be honest with you, the Volkswagen Beetle, the biggest disappointment that in 1972, any car in the United States of America drove better than this, was faster than this, everything better than this. So I've owned and driven American cars from those years for many miles in my life, but none of them feel as cool as this Beetle. It weighs 1,700 pounds. And even though it's 48 brake horsepower, 1,600 cc, flat 4-cylinder, rated at 60 horsepower, this car is extremely fun to drive. They have 411 or 410 gears in the rear axle. 4-speed manual transmission. The first gear is like 3.8 to 1, so it's pretty much like a Jeep. So first gear is real short, and you can look on the speedometer and you can see those little red things. Kind of gives you an idea when to shift your gears. So basically, first is real quick, second is a little bit longer, third is your kind of go-to gear and when things start to become fun in the car. Probably the best thing about the Beetle is trying to learn how to drive a manual transmission. That's why we talked about that first gear, because it's almost impossible to stall the car out. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. So with that super low 3.8 first gear, we don't even have to give it gas. I'm not giving it any gas, I promise you. Jerks a little bit, but you see, when you're trying to learn how to drive a manual, that is probably the hardest part, is easing out. I'm talking about the Beetle, so many people are like, that's the first car I learned how to drive. So we give it some gas, and you see how but watch how short first is. We already have to shift and we're only going like 15 miles an hour. Another weird thing is the short wheelbase. Whenever you turn a corner, you can drag the front wheel, and it kind of feels crappy if you want it to. It feels fun sometimes. Suspension is rough or rigid, but it's not that bad. It doesn't jar you hard. It kind of shakes, but it's not like a sharp bump that's going to make you not want the car. So this car does have aftermarket exhaust, and sitting inside of it with the windows up, it's really quiet. It sounds really good. But as soon as we roll these windows down, you can hear this exhaust a whole bunch. See if we can hear it a little better. It even sounds like a rally car. I'm not gonna lie, I do like this car, and it puts a smile on my face every time I drive it. I don't have the emergency brake hooked up. Hopefully it doesn't roll. So these cars do not have air conditioner on them. You have to open your vent glass. And I'm not gonna lie, compared to other cars of this year, these are horrible. They don't put the air in there right, don't circulate it that good. So what does that mean? 85 degrees and up, and also depending on the humidity, if you drive this car, your back is going to sweat like crazy. So I do not drive this car in the hot weather, and I do not recommend it for the hot weather. But if it's 65 degrees outside like it is today, that's why we're out here driving this car, because it's the best time. These cars love cold weather. when it's hot and humid, they don't like to start. When it cools down, they're very, very cool to drive. So somebody pointed out that those squirter eyes can be adjusted, and they were adjustable. Look at that. We have squirters on our 72 Volkswagen. The factory had squirters too, but they didn't work with an electric motor like that. So that was awesome. Put an aftermarket radio in there. I really like the sound of this engine when I drive it, so I don't really turn that on. So I'll fix the horn. The signal lights work now. That was a pain in the butt. And that was the thing that gave me the most anxiety, because I had no idea the condition of the wiring, but it was just a few bulbs and some bad grounds. And I managed to get all the lights working on this car perfect. It would pass inspection right now. Hazards work, everything works, I'm telling you. So this was a white interior car. The headliners, for some reason, a lot of them look like that. I think we can steam clean that later. I know they replaced those door panels because they said 79 on the other side. And I'm guessing when they did that, they did the carpet, because the carpet is in really, really good shape. These seats are original, front and back. The interior is complete, and I like that. That's why I bought it, because you think that the interior, oh, we just got to buy some door panels, this and that. It's usually way, way, way more than that. I have a video doing the door panels, but like I said, I haven't cleaned anything on this car. I haven't cleaned the windows. I haven't cleaned nothing. So that way you see it like I got it, and then when we make changes on it, you can see the progress. That's why I bought this car, because in the future we want to do videos, of course, restoring it. I'm keeping this car for the rest of my life, but we have a case already to build a 2276 Volkswagen air-cooled engine. And I also bought a car with a turbo on it. You'll see it in a future video. It's not what you think, I promise you, but it is fancy and it's nice, because I want to learn about turboing, because a guy told me that they used to turbo these cars at the track, and that's the best way to go, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. We'll be doing the video on that car next if you're interested. All right, I apologize for that dirty windshield, but let's get some driving footage so you can see this thing runs and drives really, really good. I love it. I love driving it, but like I said, the weather's got to be cool outside. If it's even a bit hot, it sucks. And this car turns heads everywhere I go. Everybody looks at it. I've never had a car that so many people will pull up next to me, roll their window down, and just say something nice. Like, hey man, I love it. Awesome. You want to sell it? And I'm like, hell no, I don't want to sell this car. I love this car. But being 1,700 pounds, it's a completely different driving feel. It feels like a big go-kart. We're doing 35. I hope I'm not running out of gas. I think I am. I was supposed to fill my gas can up earlier. Hopefully we make it home. I ran out of gas in this thing at 11:30 at night on a Sunday. It was horrible. Well, you see it drives and runs. We're in 4th gear right now. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.